Good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad everybody could join us. We are going to take a look today at digital advertising for small and medium-sized businesses. I think in a lot of cases, business owners, local small business owners, don't understand the options they have available to them. You have as much access to the same options that multi-billion-dollar companies have. Obviously, you don't have a multi-billion-dollar budget, but you don't have to go to the whole country either. So we can target very narrowly and use your budget wisely. So a little bit about us and Lakestone Digital. My name is Tad Fowkes. I am the owner of Lakestone Digital. We're a digital marketing company serving mainly Southeast Michigan and Northwest Ohio, but we do have clients nationwide that we've received through referrals and things like that. We've been in business here for, believe it or not, in my mind, it's gone so fast, 7 years now already, starting here in Monroe County. So we offer 4 main things. We put together basically marketing plans using 4 main areas. One is digital advertising, which we're going to talk about today. In 2024, we managed over $400,000 in digital advertising spend for businesses of all sizes and state and local political campaigns. So you can blame us for all those political ads that you saw during the last cycle in September, October, and November. We had a hand in that, and there's a reason for it. It's inexpensive to do, and that's why the candidates have gravitated towards advertising on digital. And it's only going to get worse. There's going to be more. So I hate to tell you that. Social media management, we manage and develop social media content for businesses of all sizes. Again, some plans at 2 or 3 posts a week. Our largest client for social media goes up to 20 posts every week. They're a supermarket chain. So we try to find a custom fit for everybody that works within their budget. Website design, I don't think that needs much explanation, but basic landing pages to full e-commerce. So if you wanted to sell products online, we can certainly set that up for you. And then video production, we write and shoot, edit commercials, any kind of video content for social media, training, things like that. We also produce podcasts. So today we're going to learn a few main things. One, we're going to spend a little time, not a ton. I don't want to bore you with details, but we're going to learn about how it works and how the advertising gets to your device and how you actually get to see it. What platforms are available for small businesses to advertise on? Like I said, you have the exact same access to, what Lowe's or Home Depot or the big insurance companies might have. You have the same access to all those same tools. And then how to target your audience. This is what I refer to as kind of the creepy factor. I think everybody, thinks Facebook is listening to you and all that. I can't confirm that one either way, but there's definitely a lot of data out there. So we're going to learn how to use the data that is out there and available to create an efficient marketing campaign. And then lastly, with any marketing campaign, we have to measure success, right? If we don't know what's working and we're just throwing money out there, you could be wasting a lot of money. So we're going to go over some ways that we measure success, looking at data and the costs associated with advertising, and kind of show you how cost effective this is for a small business. So first, we're going to get into how digital advertising works and how the process of how ads get placed within content. So it used to be, we'll go back to the old times of 15 years ago. And it used to be, you wanted to advertise, what would you do? You might drop an ad in the newspaper or the local Saver magazine. You might call the local radio station, put some ads there, broadcast TV. Maybe you wanted to be, in a primetime show or during the news, or cable. You could be on, any number of the different cable stations. But that's all changed. And you can see there the drops and everything. I'm sure there are very few people in this that still have a newspaper delivered to their house. Many people probably have satellite radio, and you can see that 64% of audio listening time is outside of terrestrial radio. So that means people are listening to Spotify, they're listening to Apple Music, Amazon Unlimited, all those satellite radio podcasts. They're still listening, but they're not doing it through the traditional, broadcast stations. And then broadcast over the air TV viewership. So that's your major networks, your CBS, your NBC, ABC. It makes up only 20% of the use that people are using their televisions for now. And I would probably say that 10% of that is watching football and sports. So it's probably, outside of sports, it's probably way less than that. And then traditional cable, and that's kind of been my background. I've had 2 stints in the cable industry, so 20 years total in the cable industry. And it is incredible to me that it's only now 42% of all households have traditional video coming into the house, cable TV. That's down from 73% at the end of 2017. And I can tell you, 15 years ago, that was close to 90%. So those cable companies are really struggling. That's part of the reason why I'm here today doing this. Worked in the cable industry for quite a while. So what happened? I mean, people are not suddenly not watching content. They went somewhere. They're obviously watching more content than ever before. And so we're going to talk about why digital and advertising on digital makes more sense than these traditional platforms. So you see grandma over there on the skateboard. This is an analogy I like to use a lot. Does your grandmother skateboard? Why targeting advertising is better. So say you ran a skateboarding shop and you wanted to advertise. In the old days, you'd use one of those legacy media channels that we just talked about. So maybe you put your commercial on broadcast TV and you put an ad in the newspaper. Well, if you think about it, that ad went to everybody. So that ad went to your grandmother for the skateboarding shop. Is your grandma going to go to the skateboarding shop and get a new deck? Probably not, right? But you still advertise to her. You don't have to do that anymore. So the analogy, so we can actually target people interested in skateboarding by their online behavior. Maybe they're watching skateboarding videos on YouTube. They're searching for the latest in wheels or trucks or, different things in skateboarding, reading articles about Tony Hawk, whatever. We can take that group of people and put them in what I like to call a bucket of people. So we just take those people and we throw them over here in a bucket, and then we target advertising to that bucket. So this is kind of graphically how we do that. So we've got this picture of 36 people. I think it's 36. Yeah, 36 people. And I've got them broken down into different groups or buckets. So the people in pink, there's 8 of them. Their ages 35 to 54. The people in green, so it looks like there's 6 males and 4 females. They're interested in fishing. So we could give them, not talking about skateboarding here, if you were a fishing company or an outdoors company, out of that whole group of people, we could target in on those 10 and target advertising just to those 10. And you can see on and on, all the different groups. And there are, obviously, we can build a profile using and/or statements, until we get the most narrow focus we could get. So the thing to take away from this analogy is that all this advertising can be targeted and is very efficient for your marketing budget. You're not going to waste your marketing budget on people that are not going to have anything to do with your business. So how do the ads get seen? So I don't want to get overly technical here with how ads get seen and show up on websites, but and you can see there in the blue box, these are called, a lot of this targeted ads, you'll hear them referred to as programmatic ads, and that can be video, audio, banner ads, native advertising. And we're going to get into some of the platforms in a minute. But the thing to know here is there's two things that work when an ad shows up on a website or during a streaming TV program or on YouTube. There's a supply side platform. So these are the content creators contract with a supply side platform to make their ad inventory available. So basically what it does is you contract with them, you put a code on, say, your website or your video, and it leaves holes, it leaves spots, it creates spots for this advertising to be sold. It's not actually selling the advertising, but it's placing spots for the advertising to run. And then there's the demand side platform, and that's what we do, and that's who we contract with up the chain to purchase this ad space. The demand side is just that. We're demanding advertising on this content. And they work together, and you can see in this graph here, or a chart. So the advertiser goes to the demand side platform, says, I want to buy some ads. The publisher goes to the supply side platform and says, I want some ads to come on my content. And they both meet in the middle at the ad exchange. So when someone from the audience goes to a publisher's website, an ad appears in tenths of a second, an auction takes place, and the ad appears on the site. So sometimes you'll even see it where you go to a website and the ads pop in a little bit later when the website, that's because the bidding, the real-time bidding is taking place. And it's an auction. It goes and it tries to match the audience that you're trying to reach with a bid, and whoever has the highest bid for that space at that exact time gets the advertising. So it's quite different than just going to your local media outlet and saying, I want 10,000 commercials, and they'll give you a price. Some outlets will do that. They'll give you a price for 10,000, say, ad impressions. I don't like that format, because what they'll do is they'll go out and charge the people $12 or $30 per thousand ads, and then they'll go on the market on the ad exchange and they'll go buy it for $8, and they'll pocket the $22. So it's really kind of unfair, and they're just preying on people that don't understand the process. You'll find that at a lot of media outlets, like a TV station or radio station, and they actually don't have anyone in-house. They just farm it out to another company to do so. So they're not really working to create, find that exact audience. They're just trying to get the ads out there to say, see, you were up there 10,000 or 50,000 times. So this is an example of supply side examples. This Runs for Cookies website. She was my son's cross country coach for a number of years when he was in elementary school. She had a journey of losing. One day she just decided she was going to start running and lose weight, and she lost 125 pounds, and she decided to blog about it. She ended up on the Dr. Oz show and got pretty popular, and people checked out her website. So what she did, she contracted with one of these supply side platforms to put the ads on her website. And so you can see there at the top, there's an ad for Square, which is an online payment center. They do domains, they do websites. So you can probably guess why when I went to the website to check it out, I got that ad. And then on the right is USA Today. So again, anyone can do supply side if they've got unique content and enough content to put that on there. So that's kind of how it works in terms of supply side. And the Runs for Cookies, at her peak, she was making about $1,200 a month just from the advertising on the website. So basically, the supply side people split revenue with you based on clicks and impressions that come on the site. All right. So again, that was a kind of a quick primer on how we got here and how it works. So now we're going to get into how we target an audience. This is what I referred to as the creepy part of the business. They've got in the online space, there is a lot of data out there, and a lot of data based on your browsing habits and your purchase and your location data from your phone and all of that. And so what we're able to do is take that data and harness it into ad campaigns. So the first one, and probably the easiest one that makes the most sense, is demographic details. So we can target people based on age, gender, their income, marital and parental status. So this is usually the first one we start with. So an example here is one of our clients is a well-known national plant and flower brand, and they the majority of their customers are 55 plus women who buy the plants, do the gardening, retired, older people. So when we start a campaign, that is the very first demographic characteristic that we add to campaigns is 55 plus women that like gardening, and they're all around the country. So we don't have a whole lot of geolocation to do there. Second here is online behavioral. So this is your targeting based on the data from your online searches, your interests. Maybe you belong to multiple Facebook groups that on a particular topic, right? So basically, it builds a profile, and then that data goes and into a bucket of people that we can target, and we can take that now. And, in our last example with the plants and flowers, now we can look at people interested in gardening. Maybe they visit Home and Garden TV, HGTV website, or they watch gardening videos on YouTube, or they've made purchases at their local Lowe's garden center. All that data is out there. So now we've got a pretty good profile to target for our advertising for plants and flowers. This one's really cool. We can actually target a customer list. So if you have a customer list that you've obtained, sometimes, there are lots of companies that compile these lists and try to sell them to you for leads. We can argue all day on whether they're good leads or not. I don't really have an opinion on that. But the U.S. Post Office has these lists, based on neighborhoods and things like that. But how we recently used this one was pretty neat. So we were running a campaign for one of the major political parties who in February had were electing a new chairman. And so they had a conference down at Cobo in February. But for the 6 weeks leading up to it, we were running advertising for this candidate. And because they had a customer or a email user list of all the delegates that were actually voting in this election, we were able to target our advertising only to that list, which made sense because it wasn't going out to the general public. We didn't need voters and general people. There were 2,500 people that were delegates going to be at this convention that were going to vote. So for the 6 weeks leading up to it, we just advertised to those 2,500 on streaming TV, banner ads. You can also upload a list on Facebook. And so we ran Facebook ads and Instagram reels and ads just to these 2,500 people. And our candidate ended up winning in a pretty big upset by a rather large margin. And I think people were very surprised by the fact that he won so handily. He was not expected to win. He was expected to do well, but not win. But I think because we targeted this group and only this group, nobody else was doing anything near what we were doing in the campaign. So this is also good too if you have a email list, right? And you're getting 30%, 35% open rate, which is pretty good, a little above average. And you still have 65% that are not opening. So you can use this list to maybe re-engage them and remind them that, hey, they at one point they were interested or possibly purchased a product from your establishment. And just, again, it's another way to reach those people if you've got that list. Generally, you need a first name, a last name, an email, or a phone number to be able to do that. So retargeting, what is retargeting? Everybody gets this every day. This is when you go see an ad for something that you just looked at, a product or something. And then next thing you know, you're on Facebook and there it is. And then you go over to a news site and there it is again. And then you sit down to watch streaming TV and there it is again. That is retargeting, and it's an effective way because it's an effective thing because think about it in your own life. What do? You go, you look at a product and then you say, oh, this is a really neat product. I think I'm going to buy this. And then you go, oh, maybe I can find it for a better price. So you click off the site and you dig around and you know what? I want to check some reviews on this before I buy it. So maybe you go to another site and then, you know, by then you maybe you've talked yourself out of buying it or buying it somewhere else. So this just keeps you engaged, and it's a little reminder to say, hey, you know, don't forget about our site. You looked at it here too, you know, because it does take people 4 or 6. They've done studies up to 10, 11 times of touch points of being before they'll actually take action. That can be a lead. That can be a product purchase. I mean, it's very rare. I know in my personal, it's very rare that I just go, this is what I want, and I buy it. I will look around and see what else is out there. There are other options, things like that. So that's retargeting. That's as simple as just putting a code in the header of your website, and then it tracks the user. Now, this is getting a little harder to do with some of the privacy controls, especially on Apple products, but it's still definitely a viable option and is used quite regularly. And then this is another one that everybody knows, geo-targeting, geofencing. We can target people in specific areas in real time, so where they are at that point, or in path, or where they have been. And I'm going to get into that in a minute because that can be pretty effective, and you might not really realize you're able to do that. But we can target people by zip code, by city, by state. We can draw. Like you see here, this is a political district that we ran two political cycles ago. This is actually my district. I painstakingly drew that out. Not easy, and probably will not get that specific again. I think we can have a little overflow out of the area slightly for as much time and trouble as that caused. But it does give you an idea of what is possible. So. And that's based on GPS on people's phones. When they're in that area, they can see that. Now, I mentioned we can target people that were in locations in the past. So an example you might use that for in marketing is, say you are opening a new sub shop or sandwich shop, and you want to get the word out about the sandwich shop. So what we can actually do is go back 3 months or 6 months and target people that have been to Subway, Jimmy John's, Firehouse Subs, Jersey Mike's, any other restaurant, that might be relevant. And you've got a built-in audience, right? You know that they go buy sandwiches at one of those places. So now I've got this bucket of people that I know are sandwich eaters. So now I can take that group of people and I can serve them ads about my new restaurant. Pretty cool. And we did that recently with a company, an engineering firm, and we targeted everybody that was at their conference. They had like a 2-day or 3-day conference for job placement, right? Come look at us for we have open positions. Come look at us. So job recruiting. Because we knew the people that went to that conference in that space during those 3 days were all in the construction business. And so we knew that, if we can get our name out there or my client's name out there to say, hey, we've got some jobs available, it's a built-in audience, and we don't have to really go trying to find them. We know where they are. And so we ran a campaign, multiple campaigns on 2 different conferences after the fact, after they were there. And this, sorry if this is too small for everybody, and I'll go through this quickly, but these are a couple of different audiences we created. The first one in the top left, we called Natural Product Moms. So these were mothers that loved natural and organic products for their kids, for their young children. So you can see there, we were looking at built this audience of mothers to infants, mothers to toddlers, preteens, tweeners, and they're aged 25 to 54, and they're all right. So now we've got an and in there. So, and they have to be highly likely to look for natural care. Tom's of Maine, which is an organic health product, beauty product. They do deodorants and shampoos and things, organic food, natural health products, right? So we built this profile of the person that would buy our natural fluoride-free toothpaste. On the second one on the top, conservative voters in a state candidate Republican primary. So these were people that were going to vote Republican. We knew they would vote in the Republican primary, so there was no reason to do advertising to everybody because this was a Republican primary. Democrats are not going to vote most likely in a Republican primary. So we only wanted the advertising to go to Republicans and right-leaning people. And then the bottom right one was a supermarket pharmacy that was targeting Rite Aid pharmacy customers. Rite Aid, you may know, closed a bunch of stores. So we were looking for people that shopped regularly at Rite Aid and ran ads to say, hey, come check out our pharmacy at our grocery store, which is right nearby the Rite Aid that you used to shop at. So where can you advertise and what's right for your business? So one thing we always try to do when we're setting up campaigns, people ask, do you have any packages or anything? We do not have any packages. Everybody's different. Every business is different. We try to really get to know the business before we set up a campaign, who are the targets, all of that. And then we decide, okay, these are probably the best options for what you're trying to do, because some people are looking for leads. Some people want awareness. Some people want a combination. Some people want website visits. It's everybody's different. They all have different needs and goals. So we try to create a marketing campaign that really meets what the business is looking for. So Google is probably the largest advertising. They're probably the largest advertising company in the world. And you heard that right. Google is an advertising company. There's a reason why they give everything away for free. Why Gmail's free. Why the YouTube channels are free to do. Because they number one, they get all the data from it. That's when you sign up for Gmail, you're also signing away the fact that they get your data and they get to see what you're doing online. So you're giving up some privacy when you sign up for that. And then they use all that data for their advertising, and then they go sell the advertising based on the data. So there's lots of Google ads. If you've ever used Google ads, many of you may have used search campaigns before, which is just the pay per click, but there's shopping campaigns. We can actually advertise in people's Gmail accounts. You've probably seen those sponsored ads in Gmail if you use that. Local service ads, YouTube, display advertising. So we're gonna go through all of Google and then all of the other platforms that we're able to hit with your marketing message. So this is Google search. This is the one probably most people are familiar with. This is a keyword-based pay-per-click that we target specific keywords and specific locations. Pretty simple explanation. Everybody wants to be at the top of Google. We do SEO for companies to get them to the top. That's a long process. That can be 6, 7, 8 months before you're seeing any measurable results. I like to refer to Google pay-per-click ads as basically cheating your way to the top. You can see this search was for funeral services. I'm not sure why I actually searched for that. I found this screenshot and I don't remember even why. But anyway, so you can see the first 4 there are all sponsored ads. Again, keyword based, pay-per-click. Everybody's industries are different. So people ask me how much does it cost. I have to do a little research. I've seen clicks as low as 30 cents and I've seen them as high as $25 per click. My industry especially is very expensive per click to get up there in the top. There's just a ton of competition. It's based on competition, basically in bids. So local service ads. These are great for contractors, builders, doctors, lawyers, anybody that has to be licensed, HVAC people. These are different they work the same as pay-per-click, except these are pay per lead. So you're guaranteed a lead to get, to pay. So, every time a lead comes in, you're going to pay, but it is an actual lead. It's a phone call or a message, differently than the pay-per-click, where the pay-per-click is all that is a click to your website. There's no guarantee that they're going to call you or take action. In this case, it is. If you end up paying, that means someone messaged you or called you. Now it's more expensive, and we've seen leads anywhere, depending on industry, from $25 to $80 per lead. So the question you have to ask when you do either of these is, is it worth $50 for that lead on a lead I'm going to make $1,000 on? Then yeah, spend $50 to make $1,000 all day long. But if it's a $50 lead to make $80, that's where this maybe doesn't make sense for you. So again, everybody's different, but these are total lead generation, and there's a background check, and you've probably you see it there, Google screened. So Google actually verifies that you're who you say you are and are reputable. Google shopping ads. These appear at the top, and now in the middle. I've been seeing it more there too. These work in line with your website and what's called Google Merchant Center, where basically you upload your products to this Google Merchant Center, and then it's going to place ads for shopping right to your product page on your website. So these are great for generating sales if you've got a Merchant Center account set up and your products there are showing up. Google Demand Gen. So Google Demand Gen is basically an awareness piece generally. It puts you everywhere in the Google sphere. So so you can see here this watch ad. And I'm not sure why it's in German. I just noticed that. I think this may have been a screenshot I took. So anyway, so these are some of the different ways in demand gen to get the word out. So on the left is a YouTube ad that's airing before a video. In the middle there is in the Discover feed. So if you've ever gone on Chrome, opened a new tab and you get the Discover, it's got news and some clickbait articles and things like that. You can see these ads. And then on the right is an example of actually targeting someone's Gmail account. And again, these are all based on your targeting too. So it's not going to everybody. So in this case, people looking at fitness watches might get this in their Gmail inbox or see an ad on YouTube or in the profile. But these are generally best for generating awareness. But you can use them for website clicks because they do all have click-throughs and generating sales. So a lot of times you might use these to in coordination with a shopping campaign or something like that. Pre-roll advertising on YouTube. This is really inexpensive. It's really easy to do. You just need some content to do it. your brand gets shown before, during, and after YouTube videos. If people are watching, you all had to wait through this and sit there patiently until the skip button comes on so you can skip to get to your content. 6-second commercials, which you can get a lot in 6 seconds, especially if it's a branding thing, or 15 seconds. Those are unskippable. Longer than that, they are skippable ads, but you don't, if they get skipped right away, you don't pay. So I always say, think of it opposite of what you would do on TV, where you might show your product and then tell you how to get a hold of you at the end. Reverse that. Get your main message in that first 6 seconds, because then if they skip, you're not paying, but they still got your message, right? So that's one of the differences when you're doing this. But these are great. These work also can work on YouTube TV, and on other sites that might have a use YouTube as their like video hosting. So a lot of news sites will embed a YouTube player with all their videos. So if you're on a news site and they're using YouTube, your ad could appear on those news sites as well when someone wants to watch like one of those news videos. Meta, Facebook and Instagram. Probably many of you have used this, have done a boost or run Facebook ads. It is pretty archaic at this point. I've been working with Facebook ads probably 10 years, and it is still the same interface. It's like they just keep adding to it, and they don't ever rebuild it. It can be infuriating at times, and then not to mention their support. But it is a necessary evil, unfortunately. The thing I would say is, do not blindly just hit boost when Facebook says you could boost this post and reach this many people. There are so many targeting things you can do and should do that are not available when you do a boost. So if you're going to do this, make an ad account so you have all the options available to you. Lots of different goals here, generating awareness, clicks, and you have all these options when you set up an ad in Facebook to do. You can actually do a lead form ad that just opens a lead form for them to fill out. We've done this with insurance companies for car insurance. They just check your rates here, fill out this form, and we'll get back to you with a quote. Something simple like that. And then the other thing I would say about this is it is not one size fits all. All the ad placements, I think there's 4 different sizes for ads to appear in the different placements. And so some sizes don't look good in some of the placements. So you can see here, there's a rectangle one for Facebook, and then you get over to Reels, Instagram Reels, and now you're like doing the vertical phone thing. So, having different sizes of things for each of the placements and specific content, it makes more sense rather than letting Facebook just decide. Some of the other paid social media for advertising, LinkedIn, TikTok, Pinterest, Snapchat, and you might have seen your kids on Snapchat all the time, sending pictures of their face to each other for some reason. I don't totally understand why they do that, but that's what they do. And so you might wonder, well, what would you possibly advertise on Snapchat? We actually ran a campaign on Snapchat for an open house for an all-boys Catholic private school in Toledo. And we targeted to 13 to 17-year-old boys with the ads. So that was one way to reach them. We also did YouTube on top of that as well. So there are reasons, Snapchat is probably out of all these, probably skews the youngest, followed by TikTok. LinkedIn is nice because you can target specific industries, job titles, people that work at specific companies. There's a lot of options there for lead gen on LinkedIn. Banner ads. So you've seen banner ads on everything. Again, this is part of the supply side thing we talked about earlier. These are best for generating awareness. Don't expect, if you're running banner ads, do not expect to generate a ton of leads from them or people to actually take action from them. When people ask me about this, I usually ask them right back, say, well, when was the last time you clicked a banner ad? And it's very rare you click a banner ad, but they are great for awareness, for a concert or a restaurant or a special or an event you have coming up, something like that. And we advertise these show up on Fox News, ESPN, CNN, People, Yahoo. I mean, a lot of people get hung up on where. The thing to know about these is they only will show up, and you only pay when they show up on a site. So it doesn't matter if it's on Fox News or ESPN or a small cooking blog. As long as someone that meets your targeting is on that site, your ad can appear. Obviously, because more people visit Fox News and CNN and USA Today and things, it does end up showing up on those type sites more than it might on the local cooking blog. But again, these are all targeted. We can target by the content on the page, and as well as all the other targeting we talked about. So, in this case, this is weather.com. So say you were selling some, I don't know, some weather station, that you hang outside, that could go on weather.com, right? We can set that all up, or it can go on any news article on any of the news sites that might be about some weather that's happening somewhere. But again, the average click rate, just so you know, on these is like 1/3 of 1%. So again, not a lot of clicks going on these, but they are good for awareness and part of a rounded marketing campaign, if you have the budget to do so. Native advertising, much like banners, these are the articles that are down near the bottom of news sites that look and feel like they're part of the site. That's why they're called native. They take on the native look of the website they appear on. These are great for promoting content like blog content or a product, an article about a content or about a product. They're also good for, unfortunately, the clickbaity type stuff. You see that all the time. And those clickbait sites, all they're doing is getting you to that site so they can put advertising on that site in front of you. So they're gambling that the cost of getting you to that site is going to be less than what they make off the advertising on that site using the supply side platforms. So that's how those work. But native is good, again, as part of a rounded marketing campaign. Streaming radio and podcasts. So same thing, we can target podcasts, streaming radio, Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, with ads during the breaks. Quite often, I'm listening to baseball games on an app, on the MLB app, and I'll get ads all the time for things that I've been searching for on my computer. Now it's on my phone. So you can hit all of those. Again, just keep in mind that the targeting can be narrow, can be zip codes, certain demographics. So you're not necessarily buying a specific podcast to be on. You're being on all of them as long as the person listening to that is meeting your targeting criteria. So again, I keep saying that because it is a hard concept. People don't necessarily always understand that. They're like, well, where's my ad going to run? What podcasts? I say it can run on any podcast that someone is listening to at that time. Website video players. So we can actually target ahead of videos on news sites, things like that, much like YouTube works exactly the same, but off of YouTube and on other sites. Again, it's an awareness piece. And then lastly, this is the one that's popular. Everybody's talking about this one because it is inexpensive. Is streaming TV, connected TV over the top. So if you have a cable subscription and you're watching the AMC app and you're watching Breaking Bad, you could serve ads to those people, as well as Pluto TV, Hulu. We just got Prime Video within the last 2 weeks, Paramount Plus, Roku Player, Max, Sling. I mean, really, any of these platforms that have apps to watch programming, we can do, and it's very inexpensive. And we're going to get into how you pay, but this is pay per thousand impressions. CPM is called cost per mil. It's an old newspaper term. And so basically, there's a bid, and you bid, say, in this case, like $30 or $40 per thousand commercials, which works out to just pennies when you really think about it. So again, thing to remember here, it doesn't matter what channel you're watching. As long as someone's watching it, your ad could appear. If no one's watching the channel, there's no ads because nobody's watching it. The example I used there is, I believe it's on Pluto TV. If you've ever checked out Pluto TV, there's a lot of old programming that was probably cheap for them to acquire. They actually have a channel. It's called The Price is Right, the Barker Years channel, believe it or not. And it's just old Bob Barker Price is Right episodes. I don't know why. I don't know who's watching it. I saw it. I had to tune in just to see what the heck it was. But sure enough, there was advertising on there, political advertising, because I was on there and there were advertisers trying to reach my area. So again, it doesn't necessarily matter what programming you're in, because it's only showing when someone's on there watching. So how do we measure success on this? So, we could throw thousands of dollars, and, I ask people all the time when we have consultations before we start campaigns. They're like, well, what have you tried before? They tell me, and, I'll say, well, how did that work for you? And they say, honestly, I don't know. Right. And it makes me cringe every time, because it's just, if you don't know, they say, I think it worked good. I think traffic was up, or we saw no increase in traffic. They just don't know, and they don't know what to look for. So I wanted to go into how we measure success of our marketing campaigns using the data and the analytics. So this is an example here of a builder in Novi, Michigan. We were marketing his new living area. He had some condos that he was selling that were brand new, townhouses. And so every month, so we ran a Google search campaign. That's the keyword search based, and we were searching for keywords like townhouses in Novi. Novi schools are really good, so he wanted to show up when someone searched Novi schools if someone was moving into the district. Things like that, new construction in Novi, new construction in Farmington, things in that area. So you can see, this is his Google Analytics. So we tracked this. This is third quarter, so this was a 3-month report. And you can see in that first chart there, you can see where all the users came from. So we can actually go and look, okay, we got so many users from Google CPC. That was our search campaign. So you can see we got 1,300 users in the 3 months from that campaign, which was more than half of all its users came in from that campaign. And then there's the engagement factor. So Google Analytics will actually give you an engagement rate. So we saw that, 54% of all the people that came in from that campaign engaged with the website, whether they downloaded a floor plan or they clicked on a site or scrolled. So we like to see that around 60, but actually that was 54 was pretty good when you look at some of the other referrals or user sources. You can see, so he paid for Zillow. He got 80 users in from Zillow compared to 1,300 from Google. So what does that tell you? It probably was the Google campaign was probably more effective on his spend than the 80 people he got in from his Zillow. GMB is his business profile. So if you have a Google business profile, we can see how that's doing and how that is adding up to the entire audience and how they're using. And then down at the bottom, we can actually see what events they took. So we had 30 people submit a contact form 36 people started the form, only 30 submitted it. And then file download, that was a floor plan PDF. And then form submission, phone call click, which is the phone number, and they actually clicked through, on your phone. When you don't have to dial, you just click the link and the phone number pops up. So that was that one. This is a lawyer. We're running a Google search campaign, pay-per-click, also for her. And you can see there, this is in 1 month. We tracked 22 phone calls came in from her ads. And then we also had contact forms and things that also come in. So we're able to track all this through analytics, and we can see where they came in from. So she is based in downtown Monroe, so you can see the breakdown to make sure that we are hitting the right people. And then lastly, this is our national plant brand. This is a 1 month snapshot of their traffic. And we can see they sell products online, so we can see where the revenue came in from. So you can see their email campaigns was number 1 for this particular month, brought in $80,000 worth of sales in the month. They have a really great email system set up that they have set up over years using logic and if-then statements and getting people re-engaged. They've spent a lot of time and resources on getting that fine-tuned. But you can see some of the campaigns. We ran the paid search campaign, the cross network, which is your Google demand gen, and you can see the paid shopping. That was the Google shopping campaign. So you can see those campaigns coming in. And then you see the engagement rate as well. One thing, if you see a low engagement rate, that can tell you whether maybe your content in your ad is off, maybe you're not reaching the right people, maybe the content on the landing page is not matching what's in the ad, and you're confusing people when they click to the ad. They're looking for one thing, and then they get there and it's something else. So it's real important to try to be very specific with your campaigns. So like the lawyer that I just showed you, we have specific campaigns set up that go to those specific pages for like divorce and probate. And criminal defense. They all go to the specific divorce page, the criminal defense page, instead of the general page. And lastly, we have a little time left. I'm glad I wanted to get you out of here by 2:00. How much does it cost? This is the big question. It is the most affordable and efficient way to get your word out. So again, most of these that we talked about today are cost per mil, so cost per thousand. So Google search is the only one that's pay per click. Like I said, 50 cents to $25 per click, depends on industry. We run the research before we start a campaign to make sure you're comfortable with what we're doing in click. Display and banner ads, $4 to $8 per thousand ads. YouTube, $15 to $20 per thousand ads. So you can see there in parentheses, that's per ad. Generally, the cost is pennies on all of these. Online video, $12 to $30, and streaming TV can be $40 to $100 per thousand. The general rule, not always top of mind, not always thought out well when you think about it, is the more specific the targeting, the higher cost, the higher CPM cost you're going to pay. And if you think about it, it does make sense because you're narrowing your audience. It's just all it is supply and demand. So if you narrow your audience based on all those targeting factors, you're going to have less people in your bucket than you would have if you didn't have all those targeting applied. So it's all, you have less supply to bid on. So you've got to bid a little more to make sure you get them. So that's one of the things when we look at these costs. These are ballpark costs. If you went real highly targeted, it might be a little more than that. So how many ads can you get for at these different price points? So you can see that for $1,000, you can get at least 50,000 YouTube ads. I tend to estimate these on the low end. We usually beat these estimates. So when you're dealing with us, you'll get a guaranteed minimum when you sign up, but generally we do much better than this. That's just what I know. I know we can get that. But again, we're always looking at the campaigns. We're always optimizing. We're always trying to get you guys more because, it doesn't, because we're not taking that difference and charging a flat fee up front, so that more of your marketing spend then goes to your actual advertising. So we want to get the most we can for you out of that. But you can see that, and you can mix and match, right? So say you had a $2,500 budget, and you want to just do $1,000 on YouTube and $500 on streaming TV, and the rest, the other $1,000 on banner ads, right? So that would make those numbers all a little smaller, but then you're getting more reach because you're in different places. The one thing I will say about these, it can vary due to demand and targeting. So when we get into election season or Black Friday around the Christmas season, the bids have to go up to get your ads to scale at these different price points to get this many ads. After the holidays, they tend to plummet. So January is usually the cheapest time to do your advertising on stuff like this. So I don't see any questions, but feel free if you want to screenshot that. You'll have my contact information. You'll be getting an email if you want to go back, or maybe you want to take this presentation to a manager or an owner of a company, something that struck your interest on something you can do. The main thing I wanted to do today was just give you an overview of all the things that get you thinking about your particular business and your audience and how you might reach them digitally. So again, I don't see any questions. So if unless anyone's got any questions, I think we can end it here. I appreciate you guys coming in and tuning in today. I'm happy to take questions offline. If you want to email me, call, I'm happy to take those questions. So happy marketing.